It's finally out! The second 2D animated glitch show that I'm positive Gooseworks would have preferred to direct rather than her 3D show. An extremely long-simmering passion project by Ross O'Donovan, also known as Rubber Ross, and let me take this moment to say, hey Ross, it's me, the guy who recognized you in line for the one theater showing of Invader Zim Enter the Florpus in LA. I'm really sorry. I recognized you and told you I'm a fan, and it caught the attention of nearby fangirls who then possibly pestered you. Felt really bad about that. I just wanted to say hi, I didn't mean to sick random people, who I'm sure are also perfectly well-meaning, if a touch overbearing, on you. God, I've wanted to get that out of my system for years. Also, Enter the Florpus was really good, even if the guy I gave my second ticket to turned out to be a backstabbing dick. Fuck you, Tyler! Anyway, congrats Rubber Ross, to whom I am now friends, because I accidentally made his evening worse once years ago. Gameoverse was really good. Yeah, it was good. Why? Oh, fuck, the title, I forgot. Yeah, okay, I guess I have to give up the ghost, don't I? I have problems with Gameoverse that are kind of complicated. Nothing that would stop me from recommending it. Hell, nothing that would stop me from watching episode 2, and yet I have these nagging problems. The usual disclaimer that I think stops some people from getting personally mad at me, but never everyone. If you disagree, dope. That's awesome. I'm glad you do. Tell me why in the comments. I engage in the comments, often to my own detriment. It's okay that we disagree, and you're allowed to continue enjoying something that I, also enjoyed, despite my problems. We cool? For real? You sure? Okay, cool. Glad we're friends again. Except you, Tyler. Fuck you! On one hand, I noticed a couple of indie animations ago that a lot of indie animations are, putting it a little bluntly, a little meanly, Cowboy Bebop backwash. Buds who aren't really buds but are really buds, going on wild, moderately edgy adventures while traveling the galaxy in the gray interior of a spaceship. And I get why it's a popular thing for creators to want to make. Cowboy Bebop was great. Writing contrasting personalities in tight vicinities is both easy and rewarding. And I too enjoyed the 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies I watched. But it is a genre that I'd say is typically more interesting to write than it is to read. So, it's a lot of indie animation, all the way back to Bravest Warriors, and, okay, earlier, of course, I'm talking YouTube animation and stuff like that. Bravest Warriors, Final Space, Cosmic Travelers, Monkey Wrench, plenty of variations on a theme from there, and now Gameoverse. Some of those good, some of those bad. Man, Bravest Warriors didn't age quite as well as Classic Adventure Time, did it? So that's a problem? Well, no. It isn't, actually. It's just something I noticed. In fact, I noticed it while I was trying to figure out the more core reason as to why I just didn't seem to connect with Gameoverse. I think maybe a modern fascination with abstraction and storytelling has finally really gotten in the way of telling a story. Fucking rich coming from the guy making The Fall of the Public Domain, believe me, I know. And new info on episode 2 soon, but hear me out. Homestuck is a story that... very funny, Editor Jordan, that's the animated pilot. I'm talking actual Homestuck. An extremely, intensely, remarkably abstracted story that thankfully winds its abstraction around a group of lonely kids with no real friends to play with on a summer's afternoon, making the best of what they would probably be uncomfortable with calling a bad situation. On their own, all their stories are stories of loneliness, isolation, not really connecting with their guardians, no matter how universally well-meaning they are. Homestuck took that singularly human premise, a premise that likely a lot of its audience can relate to, and said, gee, what a solid foundation. How much extraneous horse shit can I pile on top of it without ruining the story? And halfway through the troll logs, Hussey must have been like, there's no way I'm still getting away with this. Because holy fuck, that was a foundation that just refused to break until the very moment the original Homestuck ended, at which point the branch finally snapped, and every attempt to revive that lost foundation has been harder to stomach than the last. My point being, a strong human foundation can create a basis for any kind of storytelling that will carry you through mountains of explanations in sci-fi concepts. What I'm getting at is that there's something real at the core of Homestuck, something that feels like a slipping moment, a feeling you can't express but have played with lightly at the tips of your fingers 1,000 times before, that needed to come first, and it did. With Gameoverse, it's abstraction first. The first obvious rebuttal to this is, well, no, the character Kit watched everyone she loved die, and is clearly suffering genuine trauma because of it, which even causes her to react to a situation carelessly and irrationally, to which I must respond, so what? For human stakes to feel human, they must affect humans, and I still have no idea how Kit lives her life. We got exclusively the Saturday morning aspects of Kit, and none of the human experiences of Kit. Not typically a problem if the show wasn't placing huge amounts of weight on the apparent and inherent tragedy of her living conditions, which is foundationally different to our own. To achieve a simple and demonstrably achievable goal, considering their video games, which, except for the extremely rare Journey of the Light scenario, are universally beatable, does not typically doom a person's entire planet to destruction. Any of you guys watch Oni Plays? What would you guys do if I bashed you on the head with a rock right now? What would you do, Tomar? Wait. What would you do if a big creature, like a big lizard thing, just ate your wife in front of you while Sonic the Hedgehog watched? What would you do? It's a funny bit to be asked what someone would do in a situation they clearly have no control over. What would your reaction be if the world exploded in 5 seconds? What would you do? Well, I'd probably be pretty upset. With that idea in mind, with the concept of helplessness intermingling with fictional hypothetical, I have a thought experiment that I love to thrust on people. I think I stole it from someone, maybe it was Yahtzee, I don't know. But I want you to imagine something for me. Imagine you didn't have breakfast imagine you did have breakfast this morning. And you had eggs, bacon, toast, avocado toast, pancakes, a big stack of them, lots of syrup, half of someone else's omelet, and you're wishing you had water instead of apple juice and coffee because you're feeling sick and full of bursting. Then someone brings out a homemade ice cream sundae because, oh my god, it's your birthday, surprise! They put a lot of effort into this sundae, and they're so excited to see what you think. And you're so full, you can't think straight. Doesn't imagining trying to eat the sundae almost hurt? Doesn't it suck? Now imagine there was a huge slice of homemade cake right next to it, and it's your favorite flavor, and they're expecting you to eat all of it. Doesn't it hurt even a little worse? Now I want you to imagine they brought out 1,000,000 ice cream sundaes, a literal million. I'm talking 900,999 sundaes plus one. I bet the imagery broke pretty fast, didn't it? Didn't quite make one's stomach churn the same way a single ice cream sundae does. That's because fiction hardwires directly to our human experiences, and the moment we can't relate anymore is the moment it becomes, well, abstracted. Nothing abstract about being offered too much food. Everyone in a moderately wealthy country has experienced it at least once. It can't be abstract. It's literally happened to you. There's a touch of abstraction regarding having someone who cares about you enough to make you breakfast and ice cream and cake, lacking understanding when you say, oh, I'm so full I might explode, and to be cool with it and put in the fridge. That's natural human abstraction. We put that reasoning to the side in order to connect to the fiction better. But 1,000,000 ice cream sundaes is too abstracted. Our brain can't relate. So instead of overloading in its concept, the brain just doesn't try. It stops. Poof. The magic circle is broken. The illusion dies. I can't begin to imagine my entire planet and everyone I love dying because I accomplished a goal or beat a video game. But, I can't imagine being stuck in the amazing digital circus with no way to escape, right? Actually, I can. I've never had the experience myself. I'm not Pomni. But the show made it really easy for me to imagine because we dealt with the human experiences first. If I got thrust into the circus, the first thing I do is try to take the helmet off. Yeah, Pomni does that. Then she tries to say fuck, and then wants to leave, and then denies the reality of her situation. Then things get worse, and hopelessness settles in, along with the fact that she's not leaving anytime soon. I do not have to have the exact personal experience that Pomni's had to begin to understand her position. Just as I don't need to have experienced the breakfast and ice cream situation exactly to understand the human condition underpinning it. And with that strong human foundation, Digital Circus was able to absolutely run away with the concept. They can't just be shadows on the page, your characters have to live and breathe. Pull yourself away from modern abstractions and storytelling for a moment, and gaze upon the kingdom that's been created. One of your favorite shows or game is so deeply wrapped in abstraction that it doesn't begin to resemble fiction from even 3 decades ago. But it's your favorite. A human foundation can do amazing things, and let you get away with stuff that's never been dreamed of. But I can't imagine what a day looks like for our main character in Gameoverse. What bothers her on a day-to-day basis, rather than the grand, sweeping, impossible to relate to emotions thrust upon her? I don't even know where she sleeps on the average night. Does she have a home? Does she want a home? What's her end goal? What part of the grand out-of-my-reckoning tragedy she endured bothered her the most? What does she miss about her village? The idea of her friends is pointed to vaguely, but I don't know what her role among her friends was. Was she a playful cad? A wholesome bean? Was she emotionally distant or extremely open? All of these can have yes or no answers, but they just don't have answers. And I don't need all of them, but I do need some of them. I think I started to realize this was the problem when we learned that Flappers the Super Dolphin, Jiminy Christmas, I am taking this cartoon way too seriously, is going on errands, which isn't very background character of him. And I can relate to that. Not to the character, but to the logical conclusion. Yeah, as someone who plays video games, I get it. I get the meta-narrative conclusion they're coming to. And it elicited no vestige of the human experience for me because the show may have told me up front that these are characters that are solving a mystery around the meta concepts of a video game, but I was never asked to join them. I was never invited into their world. I was only invited to watch it. I could be invited in. Absolutely I could. It might even happen next episode. Who knows? Tell me what it's like to live in your world, Ross. Tell me what it's like to wake up. Tell me how people carve out a living in a world so deeply run by abstractions that only make sense to us humans and not to them. Until then, there's a nagging part of me wondering where all this remarkable effort is being put toward. Like that second statue they made of Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse. The first one, Partners, was the strongest statement a company could make about its founder. They poured over that statue in the middle of the Magic Kingdom, over what they wanted to say about their founder and his greatest creation. The second one? Storytellers? Same effort. Same committee design, desperate to not say the wrong thing about a cultural messiah. But for what? What does the storyteller's statue mean to anyone?
Hey, look. You can't get her.
I've taken the comparison too far. Gameoverse does mean something to someone. It's a passion project by Ross O'Donovan, and boy does it feel like it. What an insane amount of effort on display here by a guy who clearly cares. What I'm saying is that I don't care yet, and I don't have a reason to. I want to. Look at the animation, these well-designed characters, these decent jokes. I'm a vampire at the door. I can't come in until you invite me, and I am awaiting my invitation with bated breath. Hey everyone, quick and dirty outro. We were actually in the middle of working on the other video, which is basically ready to go, except for a little bit of editing. But then Gameoverse came out and we decided to go for a quick emergency. Thanks once again to my patrons, Fancy Flyin' and Gaming Electros. You guys mean the world to me. We're actually friends in real life, and we go to each other's birthday parties, and if one of us died, then we would show up to our own funerals just to wink at the other ones and say, hey, maybe I'm not dead. And then a car passes by right in front of me, and then I disappear, and where am I?